Hey everybody. Just come back off of a ride on my scooter and sitting here in my recliner. And so, as usual, I get out on my bike and I relax and I start thinking about things and contemplating things. And so I thought, yeah, I'll just go ahead and make a little video. So that's what I'm going to do. I was thinking about power and greed. Power and greed. I want you to think about it. Power and I just changed positions. Power and greed. Think about it. There's a man back in the 1800s, some British author, politician. I'm not sure what all his credentials were or are. Um, he's accredited with coming up with this little phrase. Lord Acton. He said, "Absolute power corrupts absolutely," and that's the truth. The game, the game of politicians, for the most part, with very, very few and rare exceptions. The game with politicians, religious leaders, those in high, lofty positions, kings, monarchs, you name it, dictators, of course, and even narcissistic people on various levels of the societal plane. They they end up wanting power, become hungry for power. And then the flip side of that coin is power and money, wealth, greed. Now, there's nothing wrong with wanting money. There's nothing wrong with wanting to be in a leadership position. But when power and greed become the driving force, now we've got some serious problems. Power and greed is deadly, it's toxic, becomes poisonous to a people that are born free. And so, as Lord Acton said, absolute power corrupts absolutely. And so you could add absolute power and absolute control of money corrupts both entities, both sides. And it's a deadly combination. But that's what many politicians and religious leaders want. They want the power and the money that goes with it. I mean, look what it can do, right? You can blackmail people. You can buy people off. Those that are weak minded and esteem money above integrity, honesty, loyalty, all of those moral characteristics. If a person loves money above those things, you'll be sold out in a bat of an eye. You'll be sold out in a heartbeat. You can't tell me. I want you to think about this. I don't think you could tell me or convince me that many millionaires, multiple that have multiple millions, and certainly billionaires, you can't tell me that they haven't stepped on people climbing the ladder of success. stepped on people, they've been cutthroat, they've been dishonest, they've manipulated people, intimidated people. It cannot be a moral, honest profession to get to that level of financial power. Uh, I mean, come on, look at the history of the Kennedys. If you don't know, go read it. Look at the history of kings, presidents, politicians, religious leaders. Go read their history. They climbed the ladder of financial success by absolute power, and they become absolutely corrupt. It's everywhere. In this society, we need that medium of exchange. We need money. I mean, think about it. Many generations ago, well, maybe not that many, but and it still goes on today. People bartered for things. I'll do this for you if I can have a particular item in exchange. I'll work for you if I can have this. It was a bartering system. And then there was a time when a man's word was his bond. There were no documents that had to be signed to solidify an agreement or a negotiation. No contracts. Man said, I'll do this. They shook hands, and his word was his bond. Well, in today's society, that particular rare moral characteristic, you'd be hard pressed to find it. It's about as rare as chicken teeth, as one of my relatives used to say. I was those that have watched my videos from time to time. You've heard me say this before. I was in law enforcement for 20 years. I was a cop. I worked uniform for about 3 years, and then worked undercover for 17 years, buying drugs, narcotics. And I maintain my integrity, trust me. Or not. You can trust me or not, but I maintain my integrity. Um, and looking back on those years of buying dope off of street people, an 8 ball, half a pound, few grams, some oxy, some Valium, some ecstasy, some meth, heroin, you name it. Looking back on that, it almost, well, it almost seems like a joke. It really seems like a joke. Why? Good question, but I'll tell you why. Those low level street criminals, and I'm going to even take it a step further. Those low level street criminals, if you want to call them criminals, I will even throw the mafia in there. I will even throw the one percenter biker clubs in there. Their crimes pale in comparison to the corruption and the criminal activity that exists in governments right here in our own nation, from the federal level to the state level to the local level. Corruption, fraud, evil, crime is committed. So I look back and I think, that 8 ball that I bought from that guy, I feel like now it's a joke. Now, I don't support breaking the law. I don't defend people that break the law. But there's also people out there that broke the law, and we've all done it. We've all broke some kind of a law and maybe never got caught. Maybe not on a felony level, but I've seen people be arrested for breaking the law, committing a crime, but they're not career criminals. They just made the wrong choice at that moment. Who knows why? And I loved my career in law enforcement. I never thought of it as a job. Never never woke up and thought, well, I don't want to go in today. I never thought of it as a mundane job. Every day was an adventure, a challenge. And trust me, in those bars, in those parties, on the street, I met what I would classify as decent people. I could have cultivated a real friendship. They were just making wrong choices. Ah, I got cousins that are in the one percenters, and I know them on the exterior. When they get with their brothers, there's an image there, right? But I know them. They've got hearts of gold. They'd do anything for anybody. But there's a brotherhood there, of course. But many of those one percenters, many of them, have never committed a crime, and certainly not on a felony level. They might have committed misdemeanors, minor misdemeanors. Many of them just like the brotherhood, the camaraderie. And that's certainly something we need in the political arena, is camaraderie. I often think of the preamble to the Constitution of the United States. We, the people, the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare. Think about those words. They have been trampled, spit on, violated, ignored, you name it. And I want you to think about the the billions and trillions of our tax dollar money that has been used to launder. That money has been laundered to conceal and cover up fraudulent activity, criminal activity, and certainly sent to countries to to support things that has not one thing to do with us as Americans. Is somebody being paid off? Is somebody being blackmailed? Has to be. I think there's more blackmail going on than we could ever wrap our head around. I think there's more, hey, you scratch my back, I'll scratch your back. I think that stuff goes on beyond what we can even comprehend. So here we are. Well, they were after Trump for his first years in office, tried to impeach him, tried to get anything on him, and then the 4 years he wasn't in office, they tried their best to turn him into a felon. They've tried to devise everything possible to destroy that man. Now it's coming back to bite him, isn't it? We, the people of the United States, what's so united about it? In order to form a more perfect union, a more perfect union, uh, that's a real comedy. Establish justice. It's a joke, friend. It's a joke. So, what are we going to do? Well, voting people in and voting people out don't seem to work anymore because the voting system's all upside down and corrupt. And until we get to the place where an actual revolution can occur, I'll just do what I've always done. I'm just going to live as a free man. I was born a free man. I live according to the laws of nature and nature's God. I live according to the morality of the Bill of Rights. Those things that certainly apply to us today. I respect where I can respect. I honor whom I can honor. But I'm a free man. And I've said this before and I'll say it again. There's three primary things that I protect and defend aggressively. Want to know what they are? I'll repeat it again. Number one, my masculinity. I'm not a thing. I'm not an object. I'm not a neutral something on two legs. I'm not a trans anything. I'm a man. I was born a male. I grew into manhood, and I'm proud of it. I'm not talking about some sleazy, selfish ignoramus who's driven by his ego. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a man that knows how to be masculine, that has the morality to do what is right and be responsible and accountable. It's not a slave to any system, but understands the laws of nature and nature's God and lives accordingly. So I protect and defend my masculinity. The second one is my word. Remember, a man's word is his bond. A man's word is his bond. If I tell somebody I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. If something interferes on such a level that I can't fulfill what I said I would do, I'm going to explain that to them and maybe at least they can give me more time. I'll figure out a way to do it because I said I would do it. My masculinity, my word, my integrity. My integrity. Do I falter? Do I fail? Do I make mistakes? Of course I do. I've had to apologize to my children before because I said something that I shouldn't have said or reacted in a way that was with the wrong motive or attitude. But I always step back and say, whoa, wait a minute, getting off track here. Protect and defend my integrity because that turns into a reputation. And It's not what you say. Once your integrity is gone, it's not the words that you say, because now people are starting to focus on your actions and your behavior. That's what integrity is. Your word is your bond. If you say, I'm going to do that, I'm going to fulfill that, I'm going to be committed to that, that's your word. But your integrity either supports that or your words will fall to the ground. Your integrity is the very thing that drives you to say, I'm going to keep my word no matter what. Those three things are extremely important to me. Yes, I'm proud to be a man. Like I said, not some twisted up ego. That's not what I'm talking about. Some selfish, twisted up ego. I'm talking about my masculinity. I'm proud to be a man. I'm proud to talk like a man, act like a man, walk like a man. Thank God for that. I thank God for that. So, anyway, those are some thoughts I've had out there in the wind on two wheels. So, anyway, hope it encourages you, inspires you, gives you some food to chew on, something to think about. And so I'm going to get something to eat. I'm hungry. Until next time, stay wild. Never let them tame you. God bless.